Hello, my name is Brian Fox Ellis. I'm an applicant for Illinois Poet Laureate, and this is my video interview. What is the purpose of poetry? That's a really broad question. To quote a few of my heroes, Robert Bly, Midwestern poet, said, "A good poem should change the way you live your life." And Mary Oliver, someone that I took workshops with many years ago, loved to talk about poetry as the high contralto singing in the dark forest. Poetry brings a light unto the world. And Nikki Giovanni, who I also had a chance to hear in my youth, talked about how poetry's purpose is to bring light, the light of love, into this world. Personally, I believe poetry is a way of capturing things that are difficult to express otherwise. Poetry can bring together a community with shared metaphors. Poetry is a celebration of life in all of its struggles and triumphs. As Poet Laureate, how would you interact with diverse communities across the state? Well, I already give more than 100 performances a year. I'm booked to be in Anna and Galva and everywhere in between. I do a lot of work in downtown Chicago at the museums. I've worked at the Field Museum, the Peggy Notebart. I've taught classes at the Art Institute many years ago. The Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and History Comes Alive. I'll do 60 shows there this summer. But I will continue to be a voice for literacy. I've done a lot of teacher training on using poetry across the curriculum. I love doing artist-in-residence programs in rural and underserved communities. I've worked in inner city Peoria and Springfield just a couple weeks ago. What project or program would you create in your first year that will engage youth and or address statewide and or local issues? Along with question 4, how would you incorporate technology into my role as Poet Laureate? I love online poetry, and I've got a pretty active community on Facebook. Just the other day, I found a poem somebody else had recorded several years ago. It had 30 views on YouTube, and I shared it to my social media, and it went from 30 to 300 in just 2 days. I would like to encourage young people to recite poetry and post it on social media and maybe create a community. And I love multimedia work where it is in print. I actually designed a program that I'm hoping to implement in my new hometown of Peoria Heights, where I put these little student desks along the Rock Island Trail, and underneath each desk is a little booklet and markers so people can draw and write poetry and then instantly take a picture and post it to social media. We'll collect the original artwork, we'll collect the digital versions, and we'll create a bulletin board, and partnering with Peoria Heights Library and Dunlap Library, maybe do an actual art exhibit of some of that work that's created by the young people who are traveling the Rock Island Trail. I helped Lincoln, Illinois students write poetry about Lincoln. I'd like to work with a lot of small towns to find their community voice. Maybe it's Havana, Illinois, celebrating their relationship with the Illinois River, or Rock Island, Illinois, and the Native American history connected to Black Hawk. Helping young people to create multimedia poetry experiences. You'll see in my application, I have a couple of videos that I've produced, and I really love working with multimedia poetry online. And how much time do you feel you should invest in the laureateship? And how would you fit that in with my current commitments? Well, I am currently the editor of Illinois Audubon Magazine. It is a full-time job, helping to coordinate field trips. But I see this job fitting well because I write poetry for the magazine and I edit poetry. We have a poetry page in every issue I just recently started. But I see it as a part-time job where at least a day or two every week I will be working on this project, and maybe a couple of weeks each semester I will do artist-in-residence programs at local schools. Again, my primary goal is to work with a lot of underserved communities across the state, to get young people involved in writing and reciting poetry, to work with Poetry Out Loud and some of the other great programs that already exist, to kind of reinvigorate them as much as I can, and really celebrate the spoken word and poetry as performance. Those are my goals, and I hope to be our next Poet Laureate.